Okay, we can also adjust characteristics of our text, and these parameters can affect those. Now, we didn't use much text, but for example, if I go back to here, which you saw before, and use type B and this 19 and this these settings here, and here's the, for example, the main. I'm sorry, this is the title. So if I do that, you get this. So here's the example. Here's the title. And if you want to know the different features of the plot function or the different arguments, you should type this. And here's the plot function. And of course, x and y, you know what they should be. And by the way, here's some P stands for points, L stands for line. This is for the type argument. Lines and points. B we saw for both. C for lines part alone of B. I don't know what that means, but we could try it. O for both overplotted. We could try that. H for a histogram. S for stair steps. Capital S for other steps. And N for no plotting. We saw that before. And here's some of the other arguments. Main is the overall title. So that's what I did here. Main gave you here. Oops. Subtitle, you can fill that in for a subtitle. You can fill this in for the X label, or the title for the X-axis. Let's try that. So I'll add this in, but before I do it, there's nothing on the X-axis. Well, actually there is, but that's the variable. But let's see what happens when we do this. Whoops. I forgot the... Okay, so you get this. So by default, it would have said dose, but here we can change it. And you can also control the fonts. I guess this is the general font. Then if you want to control the axis fonts, you can change that specifically. You can change the font for the labels, font for the main title, font for the subtitle, point size, and I guess this is this type of stuff. I don't know about this, but serif, sans, mono. So if you want to read this, you can. Actually, I've provided you the this whole chapter, so you can refer to this if you want to. I'm not going to go into it. So then they say for PDFs, if graphs will be output in PDF, changing the font family is relatively straightforward. This is also about the font family. So if you want to figure that out, go ahead. And then they say we can adjust the graph size itself, the plot dimensions itself, and the margins around the plot. And that's in here. So this is another parameter. And it seems to need both of these, so you set it like this. Width and height. So this is set, MAI is a numerical vector indicating the margin sign, where C is bottom, left, top, right, expressed in inches. So here, C1 0.51.2 produces a graphs that are 4 inches by 3 inches with a 1-inch margin on the bottom and top, and 0.5 margin on the left and 0.2 on the right. So I guess if you set this like this, then you can produce multiple graphs that all have the same sizes. Here they say if you want to see a tutorial on margins, you can look here. Okay, so let's use some of this. So we're going to take the same three variables. We're going to save our settings so that we can get them back. We're going to do this, which does what? Which sets the size of the plot 2 by 3. We're going to set LWD and CEX. I think CEX is the dot size, and LWD was the width of the line. And then this is the axis lines. There, this is the, I guess, the size of the axis and the font of the axis. Actually, I'm not quite sure about that one. I have to go back and check it. And then plot and see what we get. So let's try it. If you want to try it yourself, go ahead. Okay, and then I'll do it. So I got something like this for the first one, and then this one for the second one. Now the difference was, color was red and blue, but the background was green. I guess that means this color here. So the color is the color of the line here, and this one it said originally was red, now it's blue, and the background for the dots is green, or the squares is green. Okay, let's just read through this. So first you enter your data as vectors, then save the current geographical parameter settings here so that you can restore them later. You modify the default graphical parameters so that the graphs will be 2 inches wide by 3 inches tall. Doesn't look like 2 inches by 3 inches, but maybe if we plotted them, I'm sorry, if I saved them, it would. Additionally, lines will be twice the default width, and symbols will be 1.5 times the default size. Okay, so these are relative to the default sizes. Axis text will be set to italic. I think that's this one here. And scaled to 75% here. The first plot is then created using filled red circles and dashed lines. The second plot is using filled green filled diamonds and a blue border and blue dashed lines. Finally, you restore your original parameters here. There. And then he says, note that the parameters set with the par function apply to both graphs, whereas the parameters specified in the plot functions apply only to the specific one. So, for example, here, we specified this one within the plot function and this one within the plot function. So it only applies to this plot function. This one only applies to this plot function. Same thing with this stuff. And then he says, we're still not done yet. He says, looking at figure 3.7, you can, or looking at our graphs, you can see some limitations in your presentation. The graph doesn't have any titles yet, and the vertical axes are not the same scale. So he's talking about that. That is, if we look at the two, if we look at that one and the previous one. And that limits our ability to compare the two drugs directly. the axis labels could also be more informative. Okay, so we'll come to that